What do you wish you knew before your first leadership role? Not the technical stuff, the real lessons, the ones you only learn by doing, the ones nobody talks about in the interview or the onboarding packet. Because today, I'm sharing mine. After 6 years as a city manager, some incredible highs, and one very difficult low, I've learned some things about people, about pace, about politics, about myself. And if you're stepping into leadership or thinking about it, I want to offer you something I didn't have at the start. A candid, unfiltered look at what it really takes to lead in local government. This is an episode for the ones in the arena. Welcome to Gov360, your full circle view on local government. Today's episode is going to be a little different. This is our 6th episode, and so far we've had 4 amazing guests. The feedback on the podcast has been so positive, it has really exceeded my expectations. In fact, based on the number of downloads on podcast platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts, starting with episode number 2, Gov360 listenership has been in the top 25% of all podcasts. I'm humbled and grateful for all of you who are taking the time to join me on this journey to connect with and support local government professionals. And so for this episode, I don't have a guest joining me. Instead, I'd like to share something a little more personal. Something I think many of you, especially those who are new to city management or thinking about stepping into that role, will find valuable. I titled this episode, What I Wish I Knew Before My First City Manager Role. If you're a department head aspiring to the top job, a brand new city manager trying to find your footing, or even a seasoned pro reflecting on the journey, it's my hope that what I'm about to share will help you lead with more clarity, confidence, and courage. Number 1, you bring the weather with you. Let me share with something I learned from the ICMA High Performance Leadership Academy, a course guided by some of the nation's most successful leaders, such as the late General Colin Powell. There were many takeaways from the course that I implement today, but one of my favorite is the concept that, as a leader, you bring the weather with you. Now, that might sound simple, but I found it to be profoundly true. When you show up to work each day, your energy, your tone, your body language, they set the emotional climate for everyone around you. Whether you're walking into a council meeting, a department head check-in, or a hallway conversation, your presence affects how others feel and behave. I've had days where I brought frustration or anxiety into the room, and even if I don't say much, people feel it. The tension spreads, but on days when I showed up steady, grounded, and positive, even when things were chaotic, people responded in kind. If you're in a leadership role, especially one as visible and complex as a city manager, you can't afford to be unaware of the emotional signals you're sending. So be intentional and always keep in mind that you bring the weather with you. Number 2, there is no such thing as a small conversation. One of the most impactful lessons I've come across came from Carolyn Coleman, Executive Director and CEO of the League of California Cities. I had the chance to hear her speak during the League's Mayor and Council Members Academy, a training I can't recommend highly enough. If you're a local elected official or a city manager in California, make it a priority to attend. This isn't just theoretical policy talk. It's nuts and bolts guidance, real tools that help elected officials govern effectively, and just as importantly, help city staff and elected officials work together as a high-functioning system. During that session, Carolyn said something that really hit home and has stuck with me. Here's what she said. There is no such thing as small conversations. If you're a city manager, a mayor, council member, or finance director, or other department head, there is no such thing as a small conversation. When you hold a leadership role in local government, especially one as visible and influential as city manager, every word you speak carries weight. Whether you intend it or not, people will assign meaning, action, and expectation to what you say. You might casually float an idea during a staff meeting, just brainstorming, just spitballing. And a few days later, someone's already working on a proposal. Why? Because they believed they were executing your direction. Or maybe you make an offhand comment to a resident, something you meant as a passing thought, and it shows up on social media the next day completely out of context. Now, this isn't paranoia. It's just reality in our roles. We're not just professionals. We're symbols of authority, policy direction, and organizational vision. When we speak, people listen. When we speculate, people take it seriously. When we joke, people sometimes don't know we're joking. So here's the takeaway. Speak with intention. And when you're not ready to be intentional, keep your thoughts to yourself. This doesn't mean you need to walk on eggshells or strip yourself of personality, but it does mean you have to understand the power of your voice. Your words shape the thoughts, behaviors, and strategies of those around you. This is particularly important in public settings, council meetings, community events, media interviews, but it also applies behind closed doors. Even intentional conversations with staff can trigger action or interpretation you didn't anticipate. So pause before you speak. Ask yourself, is this something I truly want to communicate? Is it ready to be shared? Or am I still processing it myself? Because once the words are out there, you don't own the interpretation. Others do. And in our world, interpretation becomes policy, or politics, or problems. So lead with your words. Don't let your words lead without you. Number 3, the private sector mindset versus public sector pace. Before stepping into local government leadership, I came from the private sector. I ran a successful public affairs company for 13 years and was a partner in multi-million-dollar real estate development deals. I like setting clear goals. I like checking boxes. I like getting things done efficiently. So naturally, I often find the pace of local government frustrating. There are processes, approvals, stakeholders, reviews, community input, political dynamics, more processes. Early on, I wanted to change everything fast, but here's what I've learned. Too much change too fast will backfire. Even if your ideas are sound, even if your intentions are good, moving too quickly can create resistance in the organization and anxiety in the community. So slow down, focus, pick 1 or 2 meaningful but achievable wins, something visible, something that aligns with the council's priorities, something that builds credibility. When people see that you can make thoughtful change and bring others along with you, they'll be more likely to trust you with the bigger stuff later. I am still very much focused on setting and accomplishing ambitious goals. I've just come to realize that pushing through too much change too quickly can be detrimental. Number 4, life is about relationships, especially in government. We all know relationships matter in business, but in local government, they are everything. You're not just managing budgets or overseeing operations. You're working in a space where history runs deep, emotions run high, and nearly everyone is connected to someone. Never underestimate how important it is to build and maintain the right relationships, not just internally, but in the community. Treat everyone as though they're an influential community leader, because they just might be, or they might be best friends with someone who is. Take time to learn which community relationships matter most to your council members. Those relationships often shape decision-making more than you'll ever see on paper. Internally, relationships matter just as much. The people you work with at the executive level, your department heads, your deputies, these are not just employees. They're partners. Spend time with them. Get to know them beyond the title. Understand what drives them. Governing is a team sport. In this business, none of us are successful on an island. Number 5, go deeper with the council and executive staff than what you think you need to. Here's something I wish someone had pulled me aside and told me before I stepped into the city manager's chair. Spend more time than you think is necessary building relationships with your city council and your executive team. Whatever time you think you need to spend building relationships with your city council and your executive team, double it. Because here's the truth. Most city managers focus on mastering the budget, reviewing contracts, responding to crisis, or rolling out new initiatives. And yes, all of that is important. But none of it matters. None of it sticks if you haven't built trust with the people who hold the keys to policy and execution. Your relationship with the city council is foundational. They are your governing body. They are your bosses. They are also individuals with personal priorities, values, political pressures, and constituencies of their own. If you only interact with them during formal council meetings or pre-agenda briefings, you're missing the opportunity to build the mutual understanding and alignment that makes those meetings actually productive. So, what does go deeper look like? Call them outside of meeting prep. Ask how they're doing, what they're hearing in the community, what their vision is for the city 5 years from now. Look for ways to support their priorities, even if it's just helping them sharpen their thinking around a goal they want to pursue. Get ahead of concerns by checking in early, not just when something goes wrong or is headed to the agenda. Now let's talk about your executive team, your department heads, your assistant city manager, your top advisors. These people are your frontline implementers. They're also human beings with ideas, fears, career goals, and sometimes unspoken frustrations. Spend time with them, not just in meetings, but in real human conversations. Ask what's getting in their way. Ask what they're proud of. Ask where they feel unsupported. Don't assume that silence means satisfaction. Sometimes what people aren't saying is more important to pay attention to. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to agree on every direction. But you do need to have a shared sense of trust, respect, and purpose. And that doesn't happen automatically. It's built through time, presence, and intentionality. Here's a rule of thumb. If you're starting to wonder, am I spending too much time talking to council or department heads? You're probably just now getting close to the right amount. Number 6, keep your inner circle small. Now, let me shift gears. I realize that I just told you to intentionally build and maintain relationships with council members and executive staff. That is important, but at the same time, it's critical for your survival to keep that inner circle small. This role, city manager, is unique. It's isolating, it requires discretion, and it tests your judgment in ways most people don't fully grasp. This doesn't mean you should be paranoid or untrusting, but it does mean you need to be careful about who you brainstorm with, who you vent to, and who you count on for strategic input. Even well-meaning colleagues might inadvertently misrepresent your words. A casual idea tossed out in a meeting can quickly become, the city manager wants to, whatever it is. This is a lesson I learned the hard way. Naturally trusting, I assumed that my executive staff would have my back, and most did. But at one point, I was deeply betrayed by one of my directors, who went behind my back to a member of the city council. It shocked me. I didn't see it coming. His grievances were never made known to me. He never expressed concern or dissatisfaction to me, but instead undermined and betrayed me. I have come to understand that people will generally do whatever they believe is in their own self-interests. True loyalty is, unfortunately, rare. If you find it, keep that person in your small inner circle and be sure to reciprocate. Always take care of your people, but know that it is difficult to identify true loyalty. The fewer people that occupy your inner circle, the safer you are. Choose your sounding boards carefully. Number 7, lead boldly, even if it costs you. This last one might be the most important. Don't be afraid of getting fired. You're not in this role to play it safe. You're here to lead. That means being willing to bring bold ideas to the table, to recommend creative, even risky solutions, to speak up when something needs to be said. If your council directs you to implement a controversial project and it's legal, moral, and ethical, do it. Lead through it. Own it. And if doing the right thing, the ethical thing, ends up costing you your job, well, then it was never the right place for you to begin with. Now, this is very personal. It's not something I talk about a lot, but I want to share it with you. Earlier this year, I went through one of the most difficult periods in my professional life. 6 years into my journey as a city manager and having very successfully led 2 cities, I found myself, as we say in the profession, a city manager in transition. For legal reasons, I can't go into the details surrounding my separation from this city, but I can tell you that it caused me to question everything, to turn inward, to examine every aspect of my professional life. The experience shocked me to my core. In the depths of this low point, one of the many people who reached out was an old friend who has been a city manager for several cities in the San Francisco Bay Area of California. He had been through such transitions several times throughout the course of his career. What he said to me had a profound impact and helped me tremendously. He said, "The first time is the hardest." When it happened for me the first time, It was one of the most stressful times in my life. I held on so tight, trying hard to prevent the inevitable from happening. Many people in this position end up losing themselves in the process. They do things they ordinarily would never do, bending their standards or ethics in an attempt to appease, to hold on. But he said, you will find that it will all be okay. You will be okay. You've built experience. You've led with integrity. You will land on your feet probably faster than you think, and likely in a place better suited for your leadership. And then from that point forward, you won't worry so much because you'll understand that even if it doesn't work out, you'll be okay. He was so right. His words uplifted me. Instead of being down in the dumps and scared, I became optimistic and excited about whatever the next chapter might bring. I felt relief, like the weight of my previous situation had been lifted. I used the transition period to spend much needed time with my wife and young children. It gave me the inspiration and opportunity to launch this podcast, which I'm now finding incredibly fulfilling. And I landed my next city management job after having been in transition for just 6 weeks. Now that I've been in the new position for about a month, I really couldn't be happier. The city council is phenomenal. Good people, everyone, in it for the right reasons, smart, good intentions all around, and incredibly supportive of me and the staff. The community has been warm and welcoming, and regionally, so many city managers and council members from surrounding cities and staff from other agencies in the region have expressed how happy they are that I'm back in the area and will be collaborating with them. What a positive difference. I feel a level of peace I have not previously experienced in the profession. Not only do I believe that I'm in a good place, but I now understand that whatever happens, I'll be okay. I'll never be able to adequately thank this friend of mine up north, and I am so grateful for my true inner circle of loyal friends who were there for me during this time, as they always are, and for so many of you in the profession who reached out. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you're a city manager or aspire to be one, lead with courage, not out of fear. Stand by your ethics. Be willing to say the hard things, to propose the big ideas, to challenge the status quo when it's right for your organization and your community. And know that if it ever costs you your position, it won't cost you your purpose. There is life and leadership after transition. In fact, sometimes the most meaningful chapters come only after the hard stops. Hold your values tightly, not your title. Because when you lead with courage and clarity, you'll not only be okay, you'll be exactly where you're meant to be. That's what I mean when I say, govern boldly. So that's what I wish I knew, that leadership is emotional, that relationships are everything, that presence, pace, discretion, and courage all matter more than tactics. This episode has been a little out of my comfort zone. Talking about myself and opening up about a difficult time is not comfortable for me. But I can't ask you to be vulnerable without being vulnerable myself. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or send me a message and tell me what you wish you knew before your first major role. If you found value in today's episode, please be sure to share it with a colleague. Look for the next episode of Gov360 to drop in 2 weeks when we'll be back with a guest I think you're really going to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We're on all the major podcast platforms. Subscribe on YouTube for video of each episode and for show clips, and subscribe to the Gov360 newsletter on LinkedIn. It's free, and LinkedIn is where we can all connect and continue the conversation. Thank you for joining us on Gov360. Until next time, govern boldly, my friends.